Hi, this is Dawn Parks, and I'd like to welcome you to Digital Measures Training for USDA Reporting. This training is designed for faculty and staff that are paid on formula funds, either through Hatch, McIntyre Stennis, Smith Lever, or Animal Health, or if you're someone who just has a requirement to report into digital measures at this point in time, then this training is for you. In this training, there is a shortcut for faculty and staff that have reports in Report. And if you are using digital measures to report on non-formula funded grants, you're not going to be able to use the shortcut, but you're in the right place, so just hang tight. Now, for those of you who have a report document, I would suggest that you have it available either in a printed or electronic form for this training so that you can find the information as we go along. Now, if you are not sure if you have a report document, or if you don't remember saving it, or you cannot find it, then you can go to this particular link, and it will show you how to get to your report. Now, that link will take you to a page on Ag Research at Purdue. And what you will do is you will go to Grant Resources, Hatch, and Report, and it will take you to this page developed by Christy Burden and Marshall Martin. And it will walk you through all of the information you need to know about all of these projects. If you don't remember how to get onto the website, you would go down here to the Report website, and it will walk you through how to get into the site and to find your particular report. Now, that is the best way to do it. And if you still have questions, you can contact Christy Burden, and she can help you find your report document. Now let's talk about why we're here. Now the reason why we're here is that in the past, you have always, for those of you who are funded on Hatch or formula funds, you have always been required to create a report in Report or CRIS, and then what you do is you turn around and you would put similar information rewritten into FAIR. And then I have been pulling information out of FAIR to do an annual report to USDA called a Report of Accomplishments. So there are two distinct reports and two distinct systems. The report system is a huge database of individual grant reports. I then have to figure out how to tell a story about how the College of Ag used the money that we got from the USDA and what are the impacts of that. So it's really a big summary of how the money was used. It's not your annual report. You're going to have other ways to do your annual report. Right now, what we're going to be training you in is how to do your report so that I can summarize your data along with everyone else in the college to USDA. So I'm not going to be looking for a lot of information about you specifically, except for a story. I need a great story from you, and then I need outputs, outcomes, and outreach information about your entire Hatch or USDA-related program. So here's where we're going to start. We're going to start by logging into this place. It's ag.purdue.edu/ARP/digital-measures.ASPX. And when you log onto that page, what you are going to see is this website. And this is a website that describes everything that you need to know about digital measures, including the due date, which is February 8th. If you're not sure if you should be reporting, you need to contact me right away, and we will determine whether or not you are required to report. Now, this has a big blue button, shows you exactly where to log in, but before you log in, I wanted to show you that there is a written version of this training that will walk you through page by page everything you ever needed to know about digital measures. So as you can see, it's Every red box shows you line by line what it is that you need to do. So we are now going to go back here, and we are going to click on our Digital Measures login. Now, when you click into the Digital Measures login, it's going to take you to your career account. And that's where you're going to put in your basic career information. And when that comes up, you will have a screen that says Manage Activities, and it will say Run Report, and it will say Help. That's all it's going to say. You're not going to get to see Andrew's beautiful face, because Andrew is my person at Digital Measures. So what happens is I now own this database. Anything that happens in Digital Measures is my responsibility as it relates to the faculty. I'm the one who you'll be working with directly if things aren't working, as we redesign the screens to make them easier. The whole purpose of Digital Measures is to make sure that we are making things easier for reporting and not harder. So where you're going to start is you're going to click on Manage Activities. Now in your screen, you'll see general information, promotion and tenure, teaching, scholarship activities, research, engagement and extension, and service. Most of these, except for the extension and engagement piece, most of these other pieces are standard for Digital Measures. So right now, if you log in, if you open all of these up, you will find that there is certain information in there already about you. And that's because we have uploaded some of your public but important HR-related data, like your position, your phone number, things of that nature, are already in there. We also have uploaded information on your teaching. So anything that's in Banner will be uploaded into the system on you. And then scholarship activities, we have been putting information in. We've got your publications in there from FAIR, if you have been using them in FAIR. We also have more publications going in if you have given us information on your CVs. You can still give us CVs. Simply send them to DM, like Digital Measures, dmcv@digitalmeasures.com. Now, when you're on this site, you're also going to notice that there are things that say Polytechnic. There are only two colleges at Purdue that are using Digital Measures, and that would be the College of Ag and Polytechnic. The Polytechnic pieces are not active for you to use. If you go into them, I will see them. Polytechnic won't, but I'm not looking for those things. The only things that I am working on right now are these engagement and extension pieces. Now, with engagement and extension, these particular items have been customized for us. I've actually designed most of the information in USDA Research and Extension Impacts, and Julie Schuderman, who is an extension, has developed the ones for extension educators, it says extension educators or specialists. This training is only going to focus on the USDA Research and Extension Impacts piece. So click upon that, and what you're going to find is probably nothing. It'll probably just say item, and it will say add new. These are all reports that I have been developing as part of the training. Every time you create a report, you will have a statement here that's like a title of something that you have put into the system. Now, in the event that you are on someone else's report and they have actually entered your name into the system, you will have something that looks like this, entered by Julie Huderman. And it will have who the person was who entered the data in. All of these here I can go into and I can update at any time. This particular one I can only look at or I can copy it, but I can't actually impact this particular one. So I'm going to scroll over here just a little bit. Make the screen just a tad smaller so we can see more. And you're going to click Add a New Item. And you should get this particular screen. So for those of you who are using a report document, the first question is, should I use report data? If you are, click yes. If you aren't, click no. Pretty simple. All right? What you're going to do now is you're going to do the program title or name. So this particular section, all right, is based on one grant, one story. I want one great story from every person. This particular part is one great story. This part, outputs, outcomes, outreach, this is all based on your program, or Hatch program. So the top part is the Hatch a story, one story. The data that goes in here is for your program. If you're using the shortcut, you're going to fill out this section, you're going to fill out this section, and then you're going to save it. And then you're done. And if you are not using a report document, then you'll continue on with me, and we'll look at what are the funding sources, multi-state programs, and a couple of other pieces to finish up your reporting. And then this is it. This is all that's required for the USDA reporting. So if you're using a report document, click yes. And what that does is that triggers to me to go out to report and find your document. The systems don't talk to each other, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and get the document myself. All right? It's not going to suddenly populate on its own. You're going to tell me yes. Then you're going to tell me what is the name of the program. So you're going to copy and paste this in, maybe. Okay? Control-C. Now I'm going to put it in here. There you go. So now I'm going to call this recorded test. Report for digital measures training. Now I'm going to go to the other document. I'm going to call it, get the accession number. It's that 6-digit number. In this case, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I'm going to paste it there. Now I need you to tell me, what is the planned program area? One of these should be pretty darn close. These are the only options that you have. Find a way to get yourself into one of them, because that becomes a sorting tool for me. So let's just say global food security and hunger. Now, you're going to go back to report, and I want your ending date. In this particular case, it was April 14th of 2015. So that tells me it's a competitive grant. So you must have at least an ending date, April 14th, 2015. So what this means is now I can go and find your report document. And you won't have to write an in-text statement. I will write the in-text statement from this document because most of it's already there. If you don't have a report document, you still need to tell me the ending date of your reporting so that I know that I'm getting information from you in the appropriate year. Now this next piece is called grant evaluation, and it's relatively new. It's the first time that you will be giving me this information. I have been guessing, not guessing, but I have been using my best guess to be able to summarize how people are evaluating their grants. This particular piece, if you look at this little question mark here, it'll say, use this box to describe how you know if this program or project is meeting its objectives. What are the metrics? So for example, I just need a simple statement in here. I need to know, what is your approach to your grant? How do you know if you're on target? It might be as simple as, how many flies are dying from eating the bait? It might be knowledge gained about fertilizer practices through pre- and post-surveys. It's not, I don't need to know about every field plot. I don't need to know about every research plot. I need a basic overall thing that, if, for instance, in the fly dying case, if your project, all of a sudden the flies are not dying, you know you got something wrong with your program. And so, It's the thing that you've got your eye on. There might be 2 or 3 things. Give me one or a few, and I will gather those and put them in a list to USDA of all the various ways that we are looking at grants. This particular box opens and expands. You can see by these little lines here in the corner. You can see everything. But in this particular case, you shouldn't need to expand too far. So this is just on one grant or one hatch project. Now, in the event that you are a co-PI on a hatch project, and you are not the PI, I still need information on either your part of the hatch project, if you have a separate and distinct part, or I need another type of grant that will fulfill on your hatch project. So if you have any questions about what that looks like, please give me a call or send me an email and we can work through that together. Now this next piece is on output, outcomes, and outreach. This will look very familiar to people who have used SAM for doing a plan of work report. A lot of the faculty have not been using this, but they are now required to. So in this particular case, let's say we've selected Global Food Security and Hunger here. We're going to click on Global Food Security and Hunger here. And it's going to give us a list of outputs, outcomes, and outreach. Now in this particular case, we have several outputs. We'll find the same outputs, whether you click on Global Food Security and Hunger, or childhood obesity, or climate change, or sustainable energy. You will find the same outputs. In this case, you want to report on the number of consultations. Now, if you do not measure consultations, then you would not respond. So not everyone will be filling in every box. But these are the things that if you, on a regular basis, are counting or managing or watching the number of consultations, you would put a number there. And you would have that number because it's something that you do on a regular basis. If you do extension publications, and these are peer-reviewed publications, so it's not what's showing up in a newsletter. If you have written a new one or revised one, you would put a number in there. So let's say you've got 3. Now, if you put 647, I would probably give you a call just to make sure that in 1 year you actually wrote a new or a revised 647 extension publications. This next box is research projects. As a general rule, 1 grant, 1 research project. But if you have in your hatch project several, like if it's a multi-state or a really large hatch project, you might have multiple projects. I'm just looking for the number of projects. I'm not looking for the number of research plots or the number of experiments. But within each research project, you will have a certain number of experiments and a certain number of plots. I just want to know how many projects do you have. If you have research publications, tell me how many were published this year. Okay, in 2015, how many were published? And then next year, you'll tell me how many were published in 2016. So it's easier if you just put in the number that are published, not that are in press. If you choose to say it, include the ones that are in press, make sure that next year you don't double count. If you're a person who manages volunteer numbers or volunteer hours, a lot of times that's like 4-H or Master Gardeners. Those are important kinds of numbers. It isn't a common thing for a lot of our research faculty. If you don't have volunteers, don't worry about it. Workshops conducted. Now this is if you have been invited to give a workshop or if you're managing a workshop. And by a workshop I mean where you are actually in a position to educate the public. This is not conference papers or seminar papers. It's not for if you're talking to students in school. This is for getting information about your research out to our stakeholders or taxpayers That's kind of public. You would record that number there. Then we're going to move on to outcomes. In outcomes, USDA has some national level outcomes. Now, the outcomes are written in a very big, broad manner, and it's very difficult to put in a number. So they have provided indicators that show whether or not, or how we're pointing or moving towards the outcome. If you open up climate change, it will have a different series of outcomes and a different series of indicators. Each plan program area has its own. So once again, the outputs will be the same, but the outcomes will be different depending on the box that you select. Now you may find under Global Food Security and Hunger, one or two things fit, which is great. You may find that none of them do, that maybe you should be reporting under another category. That's okay. I just want you to find a couple. You don't have to fill in every box. You don't have to fill in a box for every section. Just find one or two outcomes that you can report on. And for the most part, I expect these numbers to be fairly small. Let's take this first one, for instance. Enhance capacity of a sustainable global food system, including new and improved plants, animals, technologies, and management systems. So, if you have a new plant release, how many are you possibly going to have in 1 year? 1, 2, maybe a couple of more than that. But this number would be a small number. It might be that you have 2 plant releases. You've been working on this plant for a while, right? Or it might be that you've been working on improving something in cows, right? And you have developed a new trait, and a new trait that is moving along fairly well. It can be at any form of testing, but it's an improved animal genetics. Maybe you have one new trait. Small numbers, right? It could be that you are more field-oriented, and that you are working with farmers, and that you have some number of producers who have indicated that they're adopting recommended practices. And that number might be a little bit higher. You've done a field day, maybe there's 267 people there. Okay, that would be a reasonable number. If you put in 1 million, I'm going to worry. I don't even think there's that many farmers in Indiana. So you want to wander through this area. Okay, this one has 1, 2, 3 different outcomes that we've identified that from USDA that we've made available. There's not the opportunity to create your own outcome. I want you to remember that what we're doing here is we're actually summarizing information. So if you have one that's a little bit different, that doesn't work in this situation. You need to find a way to almost force yourself into one of these categories in order for us to be able to do a summary. Okay? Now, the next section is contacts, direct and indirect. This is going to look very familiar for those of you who are doing workshops on a regular basis. Now remember, the general rule is give people every opportunity to provide voluntarily their gender, whether or not they're 18 or older, and their ethnicity and their race. Now this is going to be different from FAIR in that it won't force a number, but you do need to report your numbers if you are doing workshops. If you're doing seminars, you won't have a number. All right? If you're doing conference papers, you won't have a number. These will be the numbers related to if you're doing workshops, if you are out with the public, if you are doing consultations, you need to report numbers. If people have not given you information about their gender, their race, their ethnicity, you need to take a best guess. And I know that makes some people uncomfortable, but it is the way you have to do it. You really need to give a best guess as to who is learning from you in the various situations that you're operating in. And this is for your whole year. This is not month by month or week by week or workshop by workshop. This is a total number. All right? So this is for direct contact. Now, sometimes you have indirect contacts. It could be number of webinar hits. It could be, it could be that, that you, it could be the booth at the state fair, right? You might have 15,235 people that came through the fair because you had a survey of some sort. So so you may know that people went through the actual exhibit. You'll have surveys. You'll have surveys of people. Oops, I can't spell exhibit. You'll have surveys. I can't spell for anything today. Okay, you're going to have surveys up here that you might know that you had 25 people who took the survey here, and you might know that you had 35 of these folks who took the survey. So then you would have to, and you might have 942 young women who took the survey who were Black or African American. And those would be the numbers related to people who took your survey. But then if you've been doing a count, just like how many people have walked through the exhibit, then you would put down how many people that you know that walked through the exhibit. Does that make sense? So it could be people who walked through your exhibit, website hits, the number of people who took your brochures. There's a lot of different ways that you have indirect contact with people. You provide the number, and then you provide a description as to how you had outreach to the people. And when you're done, you need to make sure you click OK. This is a database. It's not like TurboTax that remembers everything. You have to click OK, or you will lose all of your data. Then what you want to do is you want to look and see if this is a multi-state program. If it's a multi-state program, click yes. If it's not a multi-state program, click no. If you are using a report document, then all you're going to do at this point, you've now filled out this information. Slide, all right. Then you're just going to click Save, and you are finished. You're done. All finished until next year. Now, for those of you who are not using a report document, we're going to go right back into this document and finish it up. So you can see that at any point in time, you can come into the document and update the data. Not like FAIR, which was only open certain times of the year. So let's say that you are not using a report document, and let's say that you have money that's coming from an NSF grant. Sometimes people, for instance, a lot of folks in NBE have grants have hatch projects, but USDA doesn't fund that kind of work. It might be like on hydraulics or tractors or equipment development, and they have to go somewhere else for their money. So you would report, in that case, which organization has given you money. Now, if it's a multi-state program, you would then click the states that are involved, and then tell me the grant type. Is it integrated research teaching, integrated research extension? Does it include research, teaching, and extension? Research only, extension only? Click on it and let me know. Then you're going to let me know who else is on the team. So in this case, this is Purdue and Cooperative Extension team members. In this case, let's say I'm the PI. And then let's say I've got 2 more people on my team. I'm going to click on 2 and hit add. Now I can add up to 10 people at a time. And there's no limit to how many people that you can add. So if it's a really big, complex grant, you might have 15 people. And you would add 10, and then you would add 5 more. But in this case, we're going to keep it simple. I'm going to say I'm going to add 2 people. So I'm going to click on Add. And what comes up is a way for me to add Purdue people. So let's say I am going to add Julie Heumann. See how simple that is? You can start typing the last name, and then their name will come up, and you click on their name. And then you say whether they are a co-PI, if they're key personnel, an extension educator, whatever their particular role is, click on that. And then let's go to another person. Let's say it's Steve Hawkins. All right, there's Steve. I'm going to say that Steve is key personnel. So now I've added the two people in my group. Now let's say that I've made a mistake. It's the wrong Hawkins that I selected. I can just click over here, hit trash, and it will take that person away. All right? And then I still might need to add somebody back in, and then you go find the right person. So let's just say it's John Frigo. All right? And John, we're going to say he is key personnel. I will call him a resource person. And there we go. Now, you may also have non-Purdue partners that you want to include. So let's just say that you have John Smith, and he's from Nature Conservancy. All you do, type in their name. I don't need addresses, phone numbers, or anything. Add as many of those folks as you need to, and tell me their role. And then this particular box is going to look familiar. From FAIR, you have seen, the issue. Who cares and why? What has been done, and the results. So in this particular box, you're going to let me know what the problem is that you're trying to solve for people. You're also going to then tell me what you did, right? What are the different kinds of experiments that you did, or what are the surveys that you did, or what was the work that actually got done, and then what did you learn from that process? So this should all look very familiar to those of you who have been operating in FAIR. Now, in this one, we have the thing where we can actually expand the boxes again. Please don't give me 25 pages, because then I'm going to have to distill it down into something else. Give it to me in layman's terms and as few words as possible so that I can use your story. Remember, this is just a great story that we want to use to report to USDA on the impact of the money that they have given us. And then when you are all done with this part, you're going to go up to the top, and you're going to hit save. And now you are done. So whether or not you have done a report and you've used report, or if you are not using report, your document is right here. And it's there for perpetuity until you decide to delete it, because you're the only one who has the ability to delete it from the system. All right? So that is your training. You have now completed your training for digital measures. February 8th is when everything is due. February 8th is when everything is due. Make sure you use this particular website to get to the login or to get to the training guide. If you need help, you can contact me directly. You can call me at 67550, or you can send an email to gmhelp@list.purdue.edu. That will come to me, and it will go to Julie Huderman at the same time. And one of us will respond to you, hopefully within about 24 hours. So we look forward to hearing from you. Everything is due on, once again, February 8th. And I'm available for any questions that you might have. Thank you very much.